Well, welcome to our live episode of In My Opinion, which is where we'll have some discussions around, why are we trying to do this? Why are we trying to create content for people? Why launch a channel? Is it that we just want to hear our own voice? But today with me, I have, my ultimate brother in arms, someone who I really share a lot of, thought process with. So I'd like to welcome to the platform, you know, Uncle Nairon. I have to big it up to the people so that the people can know, who is my brother. But at the same time, Nairon, just to get into it quickly, is, why do we need to produce any form of content around anything at all? What do the people want to hear? Why are we talking to them? What do you believe should be our purpose for speaking to the people?
What number is the commandment again? I don't remember the number of the commandment, unfortunately, but make time for ST. The make time for small talk. Small talk is not only small talk, but big talk. Is a sharing of ideas. It's a positioning of just encouragement. It's a positioning of the maintenance of hope, because the worst thing you can be is hopeless, and however one can contribute to fragments of hope within our ecosystem is just for us to try to do, as all as human beings, because the ones who are assisting in the spread of hopelessness are doing so quite successfully. And so in terms of balance, it just needs to be, you need to have balance. You have to contribute to the balancing, contribute to the balance.
Well, the way you said it, is I remember the Bob Marley line when he was shot and he was supposed to perform, and I think the words he said was the criminals are not resting.
Yes,
So why should he? I may have misquoted, you know, a very famous, but at the same time, Aaron, what I have found is so many persons really don't know how to live, what type of thought process to have to live with this whole positive energy, and what are the things they should hold on to, right? Some of us are so drowned in sorrow and negativity, and it is so welcomed, right? That's why negative news sells. The type of trauma that we go through, even just looking at, the type of news that we see on social media all the time. Before, you'd have to wait until 7 o'clock to get the bad news, right? Or you'd have to buy the newspaper to get it. So you'd live your life in maybe ignorant bliss. But now it is just constantly in your face. And anything that is viral, I have hardly seen anything positive go viral. But once it is crap, it is easily shared, digested, dissected, and absorbed, right? And then it becomes part of our psyche. So if we are able to at least shed some light on, wholesome conversations, then we would have done this platform justice, right? Again, we are sports people, so we have more than just the feel good topics.
that
So,
I was literally just going to touch on that, to try to put it in context from 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 where we met on the basketball court. Remember 1995, 96, I think we crossed paths in all the way 90, 96, yeah, 96, 97. Our access to what the, the footwear of the day was, who going on with what. You have to wait on the highlight reel, wait name NBA thing there on a Saturday. Thank God for CVM since 93, 94. So it's like when I look back at it to say some certain basketballers were so advanced, most of them were the ones that traveled. They did holidays in the States, etc., etc. I went to St. George's College, and so we had camps, we had post game visits with some of our teammates who were, you go them here, them have satellite dish. You know what I mean? So between that and one is what we basically grew up trying to quote unquote learn from, and then learning from the older rebels in your case, learning from the older slayers in my case, in Harborview, you used to have a Harborview Lakers, so you saw the game being played. I say all of that to say the social media space where things to be learned and values and attitudes are concerned is pretty much similar with just how much access there is and
No,
exposure. That
no, you're
exposure,
very right.
nature,
Uh,
based on our nature to look and observe and learn, we're going to look and observe and learn. Again, with basketball, as a good coach would say, everybody wants to be Jordan. The liquor that you're getting, everybody wanted to be Jordan. Nobody wanted to be John Stockton or
well,
even,
I definitely wanted to be Scottie Pippen, so
and nobody wanted to be Gary Payton per
right.
se. You know, everybody just want to be on the highlight reel, the highlight reel. Nowadays, it come back around now. Yeah, people into the highlight reel, but fundamentals has become the order of the day. And so they are more integrated. All the ballers having their camps. So Kyrie having his camp and Steph having his camp and everybody having their camp associated again with the different brands and all of that. I think social media, the whole internet space, as you know, 1999, we shared our first, I think we entered into the metaverse together, you know,
Yeah,
one email,
first email.
first email, first email, so from then till now to where we are now, it's just the same. It's just, we're talking across, we are chat, and as I was saying, with where Chancellor is concerned on our commandments regarding small talk, on the lining benches on the different blocks, and you almost have to graduate from the lining bench on your block to be able to have a space, a say on the lining bench out front, you know, and the exchange is there, you know, for some of us who were able to then lime at Chancellor, lime at Taylor, lime at a different block on Taylor, lime at Mary C. Cole Hall, Preston, wherever, Irving, based on having played sports and stuff and having, your fellow athletes on the different halls and stuff. That is lost, is I don't want to say it is lost because this is what the space allows for, which is good, which our forefathers maybe never had that so well because they barely had conference calling and always
Well,
reunion, which might be once a year, once every 5 years, etc. Depending on where in the world we end up. So, it's a tree of good and evil, just like the TV from day one, coming from a religious perspective, and I think your main responsibility in leading the charge, in adding to this context is just to provide content that would have benefited you as a 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old, 21, 30-year-old, you know, just again, it's just balance. I think we're just here to provide balance. Let's provide. I think balance is the
so
name of the word.
so here is, I have some secrets that I would like to share, right? And one of the main secrets really is truly about fundamentals. in everything that we do, getting the very basics of it right, then is the catalyst, the foundation to build upon anything great. And I have been fortunate to play a lot of different sports. And for each sport, I've been reasonably successful. But it is not because in basketball I learned how to put the ball between my leg and around my back and dunk and fly and do all. No, it's because you can protect the ball, you can dribble with the right hand, dribble with the left hand, and then make a fundamental shot, right? And then you build from that. But then, but then socially, professionally, a lot of us who even went through university and we go into our jobs, we really don't know the basics of who we need to be and the type of knowledge and background that we need to have to be able to be successful. And then when we become now promoted because we are very good at the technical skills, the basic foundation of soft skills that we don't have, the social interaction, the communication skills, the influence, the leadership, the followership, who we are as individuals, if we like people, if we don't like people, like, our demeanor, our positive, our attitude, these things that are really the foundation of what will make us reasonably successful. But most persons don't know, and we wonder, how are we not successful, how are we not happy, what is this pursuit, and then we get frustrated. But then I think for those of us who have been reasonably successful in our different spheres or genres, they need to tell the secret. There are some codes to it.
Agree.
I'll leave you with this in an area, that the person who probably takes the most basketball shots in the world is actually Steph Curry,
James Harden last check.
right?
Who is
But then at
second?
the same time, if you say that, but he's already better than, I mean, naturally better than 99.99 wholly upon 9% of the world, yet still he's the one that goes back to the basics every
All every
single
day.
day to then become the mega superstar that he is. So if that is the case for him, who is born with some significant talent, then who am I, who as a professional or as a father or as a friend, just as a person existing, who am I not to invest that time in the basics? So I want to tell the people the secret, and let's see if they listen, right? So
The only cross member I can add to that is that, as you say, with the relative success in all of those, especially careers and sports, and but then if we were to give a honest grade for our grade in lifing 101, what would that grade be if we are to
uh,
establish,
I need to write that one down and make it a proper topic. Lifing 101.
you know,
As that is a whole series of podcast and information, because there's so many aspects to life that really need to be dissected and taught and learned and just discussed, right?
that's right, because I think it has been, it's almost, I don't want to say selfish. There has been a very, you can only call it weird button relay of decades and generations. So it's like, again, yourself a high functioning academic will understand perfectly where I'm coming from, in that at day's end, at university level, you could have don't go to no class. And those who go to class amazed at how you don't go to class and still get grade similar to theirs.
I mean, I have a caveat for that, doing there, and that I would not tell anybody not to go to class.
All I'm saying is, all I'm saying is, had your academic acumen be reworked, and all of those principles, all of the natural skills that you're born with, had a human social element to it in terms of a space that provides that teaching to you, is like there's no question as to whether or not you'd be a most high ranking person within the Caribbean space, in business, in sports, in life, in politics, all at once. If you understand what I'm saying. Because
Yeah, but one of the things that I have
nine,
seen.
able to do 9 subjects and pass 9 subjects within the space of 2 years. Imagine you're doing life, you're learning life all those years. What would you be now?
No, well,
Applying
the thing is, I've learned to be grateful for certain natural talents that we have, right? Because one thing I can also say is that the criminal underworld, people who run it are very brilliant people, right? If it is so hard to do business, um, above board, normally, you can imagine how difficult it is to do it below. But in saying that, though, Nair, and that a lot of it sometimes is luck to, I was very fortunate to be placed in some environment eventually that may have had a boss who said, you know what, I see some talent, I'll invest in you. Or I was in an environment where I met some people
you
who,
wouldn't
who
be if you understand what I'm saying.
no, correct, right? So
So as I always say, luck favors the brave
the
and
prepared man, the prepared. Because
prepared.
there's no such thing as like just general luck, You have to really be ready, because if an opportunity comes your way and you're not skilled or qualified for it, then it is not an opportunity.
You
And so many
can't
opportunities have passed us. So that's why my recommendation to a lot of people is do well at everything. Don't half-ass anything. Be a nerd. If you're going to play sports, do all the background work. You can't get good just by going to training on 2 days a week, 3 days a week. You have to do the early morning work. You have to do the evening work. You have to do the stretching. You have to learn the sport. You have to learn your body, right? If you want to be a good academic, then the time spent on reading other people's material, doing further research, not just being able to regurgitate and get an A on a test, but really understanding the inner workings of whatever field you are in, right? Like these things are rare. We kind of half-ass our way through a lot of stuff, and then we expect greatness. No, it won't happen, right? So again, we can go all night about really, what will it take, right? And that's just our purpose. Our purpose, having in our mid 40s. I would want to say we've lived already more than we have left to live. So it is about how much can we contribute to the next generation. Oh, I have a question for you. It's a joke by Dion Cole. Um, do you remember when you were the future?
of course, that's the funny thing.
No, no, it's a very hurtful statement. We're no longer the future. We,
From
you
Michael
know,
Jackson, from Michael Jackson days, and from
so
church days. I am a promise. I am a
yeah.
possibility. I am a promise.
If that promise hasn't manifested
At
itself
what,
yet,
at what age was I saying I was a promise?
I was a promise.
With a capital P. Big boy,
Yeah, yeah, you're an idiot.
and
Um,
you know, it
so
is
yeah,
reality.
yeah, and what I don't get the opportunity to do, having been like a leader of significant organizations, right? Is that as much as we'd love to connect with the people even that much better, sometimes the drowning emails, the distance that it creates between actual people and the operations and the business and keeping it afloat, are we able to really provide that good guidance and mentorship, right? Do they get a chance to say, hey, Andre, talk to me. How did you become president? How do you become CEO? And you're like, okay, cool. You want to hear? Let's hear the formula, right? And you can share and and give that type of advice. And again, that's my intention for all of this. Like get people in who are talented persons who have been successful. And then guess what? Get the people in who want to ask the questions on how to be successful, right? And then you have that type of discourse, right? That's the purpose of, in my
Let us
opinion.
different angles, different standpoints, because again, some of us are, well, some of you are naturally talented in X, others are naturally talented in Y, and then part of I think part of my journey, even when I would have considered myself, well, people would have considered me to be okay, so to speak. Again, is sports and sports people. One of the greatest, one of the biggest shifts in my overall approach just to learning came through. um, Eric had coached us for assisted in coaching us for a season, transfer basketball. And Eric just brought, is like the whole, he was going through with us, and just even I took it personally, where he was talking about just even what a coach looks for when he looks at the bench. And if you're back on your toes up and your lace out, etc., etc., and the difference between that and just being ready. And you spoke about the luck, and you spoke about luck and a boss or a mentor seeing you and pushing you and all the rest of it. But it is, the luck of that is being ready, being prepared, always laced up, you know, you know, laced and ready, sitting on the edge of the bench ready to go, and that makes a big difference just in life generally. You know, you do explaining how difficult it can be to always be ready is also very important, because you might be ready for years, but being ready for years, you still just have to be just ready, you know.
No, well, again, it's about attitude. It's about who we are as individual. Our motivations. So, and that's some of the things that I'll probably speak on more in the other part of the channel, which is where each week I plan to just share some nuggets of potential wisdom, right? My first one was really one about the prayer of serenity, and it has been my WhatsApp handle for maybe 15 years. Every single solitary day, I have to use one of them or all of them combined. Whether it is just being able to understand the limitations that I have, managing my ego, but also being very brave in making good decisions. Some of the things that our leaders get chastised for is because some of them are very bright, but can they make the decision? Can they take that risk?
Or
Right? It has to be calculated, right?
communicate what.
And that, so this, but you know, the skill of communication. Funny enough, when we do a company review, when you talk about the staff, 99% of the time, one of the biggest things that they say is failure to communicate effectively. But communication is such a very difficult thing to do. Actual effective communication. You and I can be speaking here to each other and we are well aligned and we walk away with totally different perspectives, right?
which is, you use a term, you say speaking, I mean, you say
Correct,
speaking,
right?
speaking makes a big difference.
Right?
So I try to be very careful with words and just positioning words so that especially in a time that we are so sensitive, people are so sensitive to
Hmm.
words, you have to just be careful. So it's like speaking to versus speaking with is just anyway, continuous.
Probably my greatest wish, right, was to be able to just speak freely, right? But we have to be mindful of the biases of individuals. Understand that speaking freely doesn't mean that you speak harshly. Speaking freely. This whole thing where, we have to share our opinion with some amount of venom, right? Um, because again, we go back to opinions are opinions and facts actually change over time. So the reality is that while we try to ground our beliefs, our belief system in facts, we may actually still be misguided. So therefore, leave room, be humble enough to be able to share with individuals that there is potentially another side to the story, right? So again, Naren, there's a lot to dissect, and every week we'll have a conversation with the people, and let's see. My next
It's
episode is going to be on another impactful thing that I've seen, which is the poem called Desiderata, right? And hopefully, after I've crafted the message in my head, it comes out. I'll tell you this much. In this day and age, Nairan, when it says go placidly amongst, the reality is this. Right now, if somebody steps on my toe, I tell them sorry for putting my foot under them foot and almost twisting their ankle. I don't want no stress. I don't want no drama. I don't want to live in any animosity. I don't want to have enemies because the people are vicious, right? And when they say they kill you for anything, it is a reality because people are angry and you never know who it is that you're speaking to and what they're going through on that particular day, right? So, try to be loving and kind to everybody. So that is, and actually be loving and kind to yourself, right? Be patient with yourself. These are some of the things that why that poem, really has an impact on me. Again, all these good nuggets get lost in the world. That poem was actually done in 1927, which is 100 years ago, and I believe it is even more relevant today. But let's see, you know, any parting words you want for the people?
um, we could just continue again. Balance is just balance. I mean, right now, my goal in life is just to balance as possible. You know, just, just balance. And without trying to be profound or anything like that. I just think it just makes sense. From the scale in the legal fraternity to how you move a bicycle from point A to point B. It's just balance. The darkness and the light, and it's just balance. Agriculture is about balance. Business is about balance. Life is just about balance. So what are the measures by which we use to estimate how balanced we are? Are we working quote unquote too hard on the job and not working enough on ourselves, not working enough on ourselves as it relates to other people? You know, balance.
All right. So on that word, you know, I like that one. Balance is what the question is why launch a channel? So the answer that we got was provide
Balance.
some balance. So, Diana, I want to thank you again. And of course, we'll have a recurring chat. So, until Next time, this is just in our opinion. So